welcome to episode 266 of the Drunk Dashers podcast. I'm your host, as always, I'm Tyler, and joining me, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Tyler, I'm doing okay. Just an average work week, but other than that, I'm happy to report I am currently playing some decent games, and I've actually finished a game today, so I'm good.
Cool.
How about you, man?
Doing all right. Kind of a busy, crazy work week. We have a 3-day weekend this weekend, Memorial Day weekend.
Same here.
Nice. So it's kind of cool. I was able to get out of work a couple hours early on Friday.
Yeah.
My sister is graduating high school, so we had her.
Aww.
Yeah. So Friday we had to spend a good chunk of the day getting everything set up, decorating, getting all the stuff moved. I got stuck doing most of the heavy lifting. And today we had the graduation, so that was cool. And then tomorrow is the graduation party. So that it's kind of cool. It's been a very busy few days, but at least I'll have Sunday night and then Monday to recover from it.
There you go.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Some cool stuff for me personally with some gaming and stuff before we get into like all the news and what we've been playing though. But
yeah,
we got some more details on DLC for the Mario Rabbids game, the Donkey Kong Adventures. It's coming out in June. We got a bunch of gameplay on it. There is a Cranky Kong Rabbids.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
And I texted Justin, and I'm like, because we were talking about Tropical Freeze, and I told him that Cranky Kong is probably the worst character in the game since Yarny from Unravel.
And I bet his reaction was not less than ideal.
He sent me a YouTube video of Chris Farley going, "You son of a bitch," which got a good laugh out of me. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. Madden 19 got a release date, August 7th, coming out super early. It usually comes out like the week before Labor Day. Now it's coming out first week of April. August 7th. If you buy the Hall of Fame edition, which I bought that one.
Of course,
it was like it was $10 more, and then August 10th you buy the regular edition. So, and then also, this is to the day, the 5th anniversary of our first recording, sitting down to record for the first time today. So it was our 5th anniversary show. I was like, I knew about it like a while ago. I'm like, wow, like a month or so ago. I'm like, I want to do something, we have to think of something, do something for our 5th anniversary show. And then I totally forgot about it all week. And then, like 2 hours ago, I'm like, oh yeah, it's our fucking 5th anniversary. Oops.
I didn't notice until you just said something before recording. It's like, oh my god, 5 years to the day we've been doing this podcast. That is absolutely nuts, but it's also awesome.
Yeah. Who would have thought we were doing this for 5 years? Didn't think we'd be doing it for 5 days. So there are probably 400 hours of us on the internet right now, Gables.
Yep, that's no joke.
Yeah. So that's pretty crazy to think. I think that's really cool. And we've done more podcasts than we've done. There's been weeks doing the show, which is really cool.
Yep.
5 years, missed 1 week, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I thought it was pretty awesome to think that, or that we made it to that point. Who would have thought? We've had a lot of friends come and go in that time.
Yep.
A few hosts come and went, and one has come back and then left again. Our original founder, Jacob Knuckles, whatever. But yeah, here we are, Gables, you and me, the two of the originals still going along.
Oh yeah, of course.
So, thanks for joining me on this stupid journey, Gables.
Hey man, my pleasure.
Yeah. But I guess we should actually start getting to the real parts of the show here. Do we start with the news, or do we go with what we've been playing? What do you think, Gables?
You know what? Let's go ahead and go what we've been playing and stuff. It's been kind of a while.
Okay. Do you want to start, or do you want me to start?
Why don't you start?
All right, cool. So I've dabbled a little bit in some stuff here. Hyrule Warriors came out last week. I played the first couple levels. I've played a few more levels since then. not a lot to report on it. If you listen to me talk about Fire Emblem Warriors, it's kind of the same thing, but with the Zelda skin on it, which I like that more because I'm a Zelda fan a lot more than I am a Fire Emblem fan. Fire Emblem Warriors was my first foray into Fire Emblem games, so didn't really get all the kind of the characters and what the hell's going on with that, but it's fun, and this is obviously a port from the Wii U game, which I loved. It was one of my favorite games the year it came out. But it's fun. It's definitely a lot more challenging than Fire Emblem Warriors, where I got to like the second to last level of Fire Emblem Warriors and never even came close to dying. And I'm like 6 or 7 levels into this game, Hyrule Warriors, and I probably probably lost 5 or 6 times now already.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I had a few close calls since then. A few of those were like restarting checkpoints, and just trial and error on those. But yeah, I don't know. It's still fun to go into. I'm having a lot of fun. It's I like it a lot too. Especially it works well with the Switch if you're playing it more portably because you can levels. I mean, depending on I like to do a lot of the side stuff in the levels. But I mean that's at most taking me 30 minutes to beat a level. I would say on average it's 20-25 minutes. So it's perfect for the Switch if you're doing portable stuff on it, and just fun for me is like just when I got 45 minutes. I'll do a quick level or something. And then, so that's been fun jumping back into that. I talked about it a little bit last week. I played, I think it was like level World 4 at that point of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze.
Yeah.
I played the crap out of it on Sunday and got all the way to the last boss. I think I spent there's the second to last level is like a minecart level, or no, it's a rhino level. You have to ride the rhino. If I ever have to play another one of those levels again in my life, it will be too soon. I hate. I spent probably 30 minutes on just trying to make one jump. It's just, and when you finally get it, you're like, yeah, and then you die. You're like, damn it! All right, too excited. So you're like, oh, you exhale and you just celebrate for 1 second, and it's just that's all it takes. But I got to the last boss, spent probably never 40 minutes trying to fight him. It's a long boss fight. For the it's probably 5 or 6 minutes into this boss fight I kept getting into and dying. And so what annoys me about this game is it's definitely a very challenging game. But like the lava is like instant death, and I'll have full hearts. I'll make it all the way to like the very end of the last boss fight or the last stage of the boss, and he'll like make the ground underneath you, like one of the sections will disappear, and I fall into the lava and die instantly. And that's every single time. That's how I died. I never took out all my hearts. I just fell into the lava and died, which just drove me nuts. That's kind of like my biggest issues with not biggest issue, but that was kind of like my biggest downfall in that game. Was never really running out of hearts. Just like falling to the lava in a lot of these levels, especially the last world. But I don't know. Overall, I mean, like I said last week, really good game. I'm kind of a little upset that I didn't give it the chance it deserved on the Wii U, but it's I'm paying for it now, or making up for it now, and I had a lot of fun with it. I eventually rage quitted on the last boss fight. Because I was about to no longer have a Switch because I was going to check out the fucking window. So I haven't played it since. But I'm gonna go back to it and beat that last boss. But I gotta walk away from it because that on Sunday was a very it took me like 3 or 4 hours probably to get through the last world and a half. Because some of those levels get pretty difficult, especially the minecart and the rhino level.
Yeah.
I was telling Justin I think I spent more time on the minecart and rhino levels than I did than the rest of the game combined. Because each level, I think each world has 1 or 2 of those. So the rest of the game was not nearly as challenging. So yeah, and then last but not least, Detroit Become Human came out Friday. I've only get to play a few hours of it so far. It is Quantic Dream's new game. If I've talked about it before, I really, really, really liked Heavy Rain. If you guys may remember, it was released just a few months ago. But I went in with Beyond Two Souls, where very much. It was a middle of the road kind of game, but there was a lot of problems with that game. But overall, at that point in time, still really liked that style. But that was really before kind of Telltale came around, where Quantic Dreams was the only one really doing that. But now here we are with Detroit Become Human. The game so far, absolutely beautiful. Up there with one of the, their games always been really good looking for their time. But it's definitely up there for as far as like graphically. So one of the best looking games of this probably ever on the consoles. And just the facial animations, everything about it's great. Kind of the main story of it is that there is Connor, Marcus, and Kara. You play as androids in 2038 Detroit. And basically what's going on is like, they call them, I think, Deviant is what they call them, is when an android kind of becomes like, basically the androids are just kind of like, in a way, they're just like maids or butlers kind of. They just kind of do all your chores for you, clean the house, go get your paint. Now things are getting, they're kind of upgrading more and more. So in this world so far, like unemployment rates are like 38%. And so a lot of people are upset because the androids are taking a lot of people's jobs. There's like people picketing on the streets and stuff like that. And now like the androids are coming, what they say, deviant, which is basically they're no longer listening to people's commands and they're kind of acting on their own and becoming more human-like, and they actually have starting to feel emotions, in a way. And like one of the first scenes is you play a Connor is a police detective, and he's an android. And the first thing you do is it was like the very first thing we saw of this game was he was trying to talk. This android had murdered his owners, or murdered the father, and because they were going to upgrade and get a new model and get rid of him. He was like, he thought he was part of the family. He's been with the family for years and years and years, and he finally snapped. The android did, and he's sitting on the edge of a roof with a gun to the daughter's head, and you have to try to talk him, and she can die, you can die, he can die, or whatever. And just, I guess there's like 6 different possibilities in that first scene alone. But basically, when, like I said, you become they're trying to figure out the issue of why all of a sudden all these androids are acting on their own. And then the next character you play as is Marcus. He is basically like the butler, but of like he goes, the first thing you do with him is you go get paint for his owner, who is older man. He's probably in his 70s or 80s, he's in a wheelchair, but he's an artist. And they're kind of more like a father-son dynamic, where they just get along really well. You could tell they actually kind of like, there's some love there between the two of them. And I've only played, I think, 1 scene with him. I think I've done 2 with Connor and 2 with Kara. Or Kara, I'm sorry. And you kind of find out like a little bit. I don't really want to spoil too much, but I'm only a few hours in. But like I said, it's a very like father-son relationship, and like the owner, the older man, has I can't remember his name, but he has a son who's kind of seems like he has a drug problem, and so they don't get along too well. So I'm assuming that's gonna come into play here eventually. And then Kara, who so far is probably my favorite character of the 3. They showed a bunch of it already at like E3s and stuff like that, and PlayStation experiences. But she is like she's living in like the poor side. Her owner like lives in the poor side of the town, and he's a abusive dad. And he's got a little girl named Alice, and basically it starts off with her being picked back up from the place where they sell the androids, being repaired. He basically gets angry and destroyed Kara, so they had to redo it, and she gets her memory wiped. So she you're basically relearning. It kind of works out great where like you're learning kind of what's going on, and she's learning at the same time too, about kind of the abuse that goes on there. And it's just kind of he doesn't work, and he's drunk and angry and on drugs, and basically you kind of got what goes on with that one. It's like I said, it's all in the advertisement for this, but you have to escape that with Alice, the little girl. But so far, like I said, I'm early on. only played a couple hours. I'm really enjoying it, which I'm glad I am. I was a little nervous because I started replaying Heavy Rain a few weeks ago, and I got a couple hours in. I got to the Jason part, and I was just like, oh man, I'm not digging this so much, and I'm wondering. And part of that concern was like, maybe because I've already played this, I remember a lot of the game, so the surprises are gone. And maybe I'm like, oh man, maybe this is like part of the time because Heavy Rain was really the first of its kind. I know I think Indigo Prophecy and a couple other games like that, but for me and I think for a lot of people, this was like the first big budget one of these kind of like story based kind of walking simulator style games. And now like Walking Dead or not the Walking Dead, but Telltale Walking Dead kind of came out, and then Telltale's been killing it the last 6-7 years. And we've seen a million of these games now, walking simulators and story-based narrative games. And I was worried. I'm just like, man, maybe like that was just. I look at Quantum Dream with kind of like a nostalgic eyes. Like Beyond Two Souls was okay, Heavy Rain was amazing, but maybe it wasn't that amazing. But so far I'm really liking it. Like I said, I heard later on, people like it starts off great, but the back half of the game kind of gets meh. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen. But so far I'm 100% in. So I'll talk about more next week. I'm hoping to play a lot more. But it's one of those games where it's almost like a movie in a way, or like you're watching like a show on Netflix or something, where it's just like next episode, because it splices in so well. There's never really a break in the action. So it's one of those games where if I don't feel like I have like at least an hour or so to play the game, I'm not going to play it. I'll play something else, or I'll just watch something else or do something else. So I'm hoping to get sometime this weekend a good couple hour stretch there. I can just sit down and play it because I got a good few hour stretch last night and really, really enjoyed it. But that's pretty much all I've been playing. With a little long there. Sorry, guys. But Gables, what have you been playing?
All right, so from the top, I have finished Kirby Star Allies.
Oh, nice.
So that game in and of itself, I mean, for the most part about it, I've enjoyed my experience with the game. I mean, it's not really too difficult. The game is really aimed for younger audiences. Definitely for somebody who has probably never played too many platformers. And if they're getting really into one, this is probably the type of game where you want to introduce someone to that genre with. At the same time, though, I thought that the game quality of itself was actually pretty decent. It wasn't like so bad and stuff. I was kind of disappointed with the length of the game, only because there's only like maybe four worlds in and of itself. There was like 4 worlds. I went through and I collected all the puzzle pieces, the main puzzle pieces, and like triggered all the switches and stuff. But there were still like about, I would say, pretty close to about like a 25-30% of the stuff that I hadn't unlocked with the full experience, though. Towards the end of the game, let's see, the last world, I kind of like the theme of the last world, because you're basically in space, and you're drifting to different planets that basically are remastered from previous worlds that you have tackled earlier on. So there are not only a stage of that, but if you go forth and pass the stage, collect everything, it unlocks like the particular boss of one of the previous worlds. And so how it kind of mixes things up, like how Kirby Star Allies mixes things up, like in the last world and stuff, is you basically reface these bosses again, but they are harder. So quintessentially, you play, let's say, like in every Kirby game, you face off against Wispy Woods. That's like one of the first bosses, is like one of the first staples of any type of Kirby game, pretty much. Well, for this one of the remastered boss stages here, this Wispy Woods, you don't necessarily just face Wispy Woods. You face off something called like Yaggle Woods or something like that, like an elder like Wispy Woods. It was so crazy because it's like he basically goes through and he just jumps around like with stuff, and he's attacking. He's like freaking launches not just like fruit, but also launches like these freaking like spike looking Goro creatures or something from his branches and all that other stuff. But after going through the remastered thing, like the remastered boss battles, oh man, and I'll tell you what, man, that boss battle against Krakow is also one of the mainstays, like one of the classic Kirby bosses from previous games. For those who don't know, Krako is basically a gigantic rain cloud with spikes and an eye, and it basically shoots lightning at you. But where the game gets interesting is when you collect all the various puzzle pieces, unlock most of the stuff, and then you face off against the final portion of the game. I gotta admit, the final boss battle in of itself kind of reminded me of like a Final Fantasy RPG. I say that is because the final boss has like about 3 or 4 different forms, and you got to go through each separate form. So this battle took me like about a good solid 15-20 minutes to actually go and finish. It was definitely the best part about that game, bar none, in my honest opinion. Through my whole gameplay, I think I've only died twice, which, hey, that's not bad. And the funniest thing about it, I was checking my life gauge, and you can actually go over 100 lives. At the end, I was at around 140 lives that I had collected. Well, it's like what I said before, though. The game is more or less an introductory thing for people who are not familiar with genre, like the platforming genre in general, or like just for younger gamers who don't play too many video games. At the same time, though, I kind of would have liked there to have been a little bit more challenge. The only forms of challenge I did face was towards the end of the game itself. Like the final couple of bosses until finally getting into like the main boss, and then just going through the forms and this and that. That in and of itself, I think, kind of redeemed the game in and of itself to me. So after you beat this game, you unlock a couple different modes plus the last remaining stage. And you know what? What's interesting about this stage, and I'm going to go a little bit in the spoilers since I know you're probably not going to ever probably play this game again. But
yeah, it's a Kirby game, so
yeah. But there unlocks another little planet after you beat the main game. It's called extra stage. I think it's Gamma or something like that. It has a Sigma that looks like, or no, it has the signal that looks like Sigma actually, not Gamma, because when you're going through the last world, you can actually unlock extra stages like Alpha, Beta, Gamma or something. The last one is Sigma. So I went through this entire stage and stuff, and the last portion of the stage flashes you back to the original Kirby's Dream Land. Certain portions of the stage, it's a little bit remixed. And what's kind of interesting about it is it's actually tinted with that green and black aesthetic, like it would be on the Game Boy.
That's cool.
That is a cool little Easter egg right there. And when you get towards the end of the stage, you go through and you trigger the little prompt and stuff, the little switch, and it's like, congratulations for it's like, we love Kirby, 20 years, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. And it was like, holy shit. It's like a little added touch, on top of playing the Kirby games and stuff. Because you know what, it really means something, Because I've been playing the Kirby games since the original Kirby's Dream Land on Game Boy, off and on, and that was a really fun little touch in and of itself.
Yeah.
So throughout my playthrough, I told you already, I've only died twice. I collected about an absurd number of lives. I did have some fun with experimenting with the different type of abilities, the different types of the whole dream fountain stuff. I did that for a couple of times, and I just didn't really feel like I was prompted to do that because I thought just getting the abilities would be a better suited idea. I tried out guys say Team Day-to-Day and stuff and Meta Knight, but let's see. At the same time, I kind of felt like the challenge could have been better, obviously. Would I play through this game again? I probably would if, say, I had more people with me. Because this definitely is a game that you can finish. You can play it by yourself and have a good time. But I feel this game would be incredibly better if you had, about maybe another person playing beside you. Or, maybe a 4-player co-op and then just, mixing around. And also that reminds me of something. Towards the final portions of the final battles, I noticed little AI quirks, and this is really funny when I think about it now. Here I am attacking the boss and stuff, and I have a cluster of 3 of my AI allies, which they were pretty decent throughout the entire game. Right? They're triggering triggers and stuff. They figure out automatically, oh, I got to go through, I got to trigger this in order to advance the stage, or do this and do that. Now, while I'm walloping upon the final boss, all three of them in a cluster are looking at me like, what? They're just standing there. Literally just standing there, just like watching me attack this thing. Oh, what's even worse is like when you try to like get little elements like added to your weapons, sometimes during boss battles, they don't even want to go ahead and like give their abilities to you. So here I am, I'm like holding my staff in the air or something, or my sword in the air, and I look at my freaking fire and like ice element guys, and they're all just like staring at me or something like that, not doing anything. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Don't leave me hanging! Don't leave me hanging! It's like just. But other than those little quirks, I honestly feel like this game is worthy of a playthrough. I mean, I finished it, but I would definitely wait. For anybody who's on the fence about this game, I would not pick it up at a full $60 retail price. Why? Because I feel like the average gamer who has a bit of experience with some, maybe they haven't played too many Kirby games, or maybe like they have played Kirby games and stuff, if you're going to play one and you own a 3DS, I would recommend either playing Triple Deluxe or maybe Planet Robobot before I would play like Star Allies. Why? Because those games do offer plenty of like decent challenges, but they also have like good extra extra unlockables as well. For Star Allies, I would give it a passable rating. I probably would give it like about a 7 out of 10, which is not bad. You know, it's a good game. At its core, it's a good game. I feel like if you pick it up, say, used, maybe for like about $30 or like something like that, that in of itself I feel is more appropriate for what you get. But other than Star Allies, I did play another game on my Switch, and it is Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon.
Nice. Well, quick, did you hear about the weird delays for this game?
The weird delays?
Yeah, so like at the last minute, the Xbox One and PS4 versions got delayed like 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah, so people that were like, because this was like, you know, it's Kickstarter. This is part of the Kickstarter deal. They raised X amount of money, you get this prequel. And so the people that were supposed to get an Xbox One and PS4 version, they gave them temporary Steam keys to make up for it, and then when it comes out on the other ones, they'll get the keys. But yeah, I thought that was kind of just it's like, so the game came out like Thursday, and it was like Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that. The game got delayed on the other two consoles.
I will
so
say
that was
this.
weird.
I will say this though, that is really weird, and I really understand what some of those Kickstarters.
Yep.
The whole Backstarters, the whole Kickstarter people who supported that game. Yeah, I can understand the frustration. Getting a Steam key while you want to play on the PS4 and Xbox One. I mean, it is. But
IGN's Jared Petty is getting a physical Vita version of this game.
Jesus Christ.
The actual Bloodstained game. So that might be the last Vita game, physical version of a Vita game you'll ever be able to get.
Yeah. Honestly, that probably is going to be the case for that.
Yeah.
How
go on, I'm sorry. Yeah.
But anyway, I went forth after work Thursday. I downloaded Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. I had a chance to play it, and oh my gosh. It feels exactly like an old Castlevania game. Up to its core, up to its gameplay, the aesthetic of it. I mean, sure, it's reworked for modern settings and stuff. There are elements inside the visual presentation, like the foreground, the background works, and things like that, that remind me of modern games. I mean, that's in and of itself. That's kind of a given. But the way the sprite work is, the way the tutorials are handled and stuff, this game has an option to whether or not you want to play in the veteran sort of stand where you have like 4 lives, or unlimited lives with casual. So technically, Tyler, if you ever wanted to play this game, you have unlimited lives.
Oh. That sounds perfect for me. Are you saying I'm bad at video games, Gables?
No, I'm not saying you're bad at video
I'm just saying if you are, you're very accurate.
Saying.
I'm agreeing with you. I just want to make sure we're on the same page here.
I'm just saying that anyone could actually go through and play through this game to the end. Oh, and speaking of the game in of itself, it surprises the hell out of me that this game is only $10.
Oh, that's a good deal.
That is a good deal. And it offers, at the moment, I think there's about 5 levels or something like that of this game.
Yep, 5 levels.
I am on level 3, I wanted to say. Yes, level 3. at the moment, I've played as Zangetsu, the whole sword-wielding guy that can, like, do power-ups and this and that. As Miriam and stuff with her whip and, like, her high jump and this and that. I currently unlocked the Alchemist guy, which I'm going through his stage right now, and oh my god, I am noticing the difficulty spike. I am definitely noticing a difficulty spike when you come to World 3, because if you do not use his, like, Alchemist ability or something like that, like, basically, for all the characters, if you press the X button, it unlocks, like, a specific ability that they got, depending upon the sub-item that they hold. So, for him, for the Alchemist, you can actually, like, unleash, like, a wall, like a freaking, like, a wheel of fire or something that surrounds you, sort of like a barrier. And you're supposed to go all the way to the end of, like, this particular corridor, like, knocking out enemies, doing this and that, while that's going up active. On the way, you can still collect, like, little hearts, little, like, potion things to replenish, because that's what you gotta do. You gotta replenish your stamina meter and stuff in order to use these sub-weapons. So, while I'm doing that, this is the first time in this game that I've played where the difficulty in and of itself is the reasoning why I've lost a few lives. Now, before, I was only maybe losing a life maybe once or something in a boss battle. That's what happened with the first boss and then the second boss. But it gradually gets more difficult with each stage. I like that. It's very Castlevania-esque. Well, obviously it is so, because a lot of this game's influence and a lot of the game's aesthetics and the whole switching of characters on the fly is very reminiscent of Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, for the NES. It's done like that on purpose because the person responsible for creating Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon, and later, like, Ritual, like, Bloodstained, like, Ritual or something like that. I forgot the actual name of the Kickstarter game now.
I'll look it up.
Yeah. But anyway, his main inspiration while creating Castlevania Symphony of the Night and Rondo and stuff like that, he looked towards Castlevania 3. And you can totally tell a lot of the influence with the level designs. The actual silhouettes of the characters remind me very much of, like, say, Trevor Belmont and Alucard and, like, Sypha from that game. Even, like, Grant Dynasty to a certain extent. The pirate. So, it's kind of funny how there's 4 controllable characters in Bloodstained, Curse of the Darkness, and... not Curse of the Darkness, like, Curse of the Moon.
Yep.
Think of another Castlevania game. Damn. Anyway, being able to decipher between the Bloodstained and Castlevania is starting to become difficult, because it's very fucking similar.
I used to keep calling it the new Castlevania game. I was talking to somebody at work about it. I'm like, yeah, the new Castlevania game comes out this week. That's not true at all. By the way, the actual the main one's gonna be Ritual of the Night.
Ritual of the Night. So I was right about Ritual.
Yep.
So, like I was saying, I just find it funny how there's 4 playable characters in Castlevania 3, and there is 4 characters playable in, like, a Curse of the Moon, and they're very similar in terms of things. The only things that I have seen so far that maybe a little bit deterring and stuff is a little bit of the same sort of flaws that some of the Castlevania games on the NES had, especially if you have it in veteran mode. Now, when you play Castlevania, if you get hit by an enemy, or you get hit by a little projectile or something, there's a knockback. And basically your character sprite gets knocked back like a panel or two in the back, you know, backwards. The same thing's prevalent inside the veteran mode for Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. And so there have been quite a few instances in Stage 3 where I have jumped and I've been hit by something, and all of a sudden I go catapulting right down a pit.
You play what difficulty are you playing this on?
I'm playing it on veteran. I'm debating whether or not I should switch to the casual one, because I do want to play through this game all the way and, like, not take, like, a fucking couple hours.
Yeah. So is veteran like the normal?
Yes, veteran is the equivalent of, like, the normal setting.
Okay.
The only difference between the veteran and the casual settings is, one, the casual settings has unlimited lives, and there is no knockback when you get hit by enemies.
Okay. Yeah, I heard there was the knockback thing that you were, like, you wouldn't get damaged. That makes sense. I guess I didn't know it was a casual only thing.
Yeah. The casual only thing, you basically cannot be knocked back by that little effect, and you cannot, like, basically you cannot freaking, like, get a game over. But in veteran mode, you're set to, like, 5 lives and stuff. I've already lost, like, about 3, I want to say. 3 lives, like, every individual, like, level or something like that. But the game quality in of itself is very well done. The controls are tight. The amount of playability for this game is high. I got to admit, playing this game, it makes me want to power on an NES and actually play some of these older games. It has that type of appeal. It has that type of replay value, in my opinion. The bosses are pretty fun. I mean, I faced off against a freaking gigantic demonic locomotive train. I know, it's so bizarre, but yet it's really hilarious in and of itself. Then I have that face of this giant sea creature in another stage, and then, oh man, it just keeps going higher and higher and stuff. But my initial impression for Curse of the Moon is very positive. The game looks beautiful, the gameplay's tight, the soundtrack's fantastic. Plus, it has that old school challenge, plus the rework things where if somebody just wants to play through the game and enjoy it, everything seems to be there. And quite honestly, my gameplay experience with Curse of the Moon definitely feels more positive and like much more up there than, say, playing through the entirety of Star Allies. Even though that game was good, I still have like a higher regards here for Curse of the Moon at the moment. They're both like similar games, being that they're platformers, but other than that, though, there's a clear difference in quality in terms of like difficulty, in terms of fidelity, and in terms of like just replayability in of itself. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been playing for this week.
All right, Gable. So while we were talking about what we've been playing, I thought of a cool thing we could do to celebrate our 5-year anniversary before we get to the news.
Okay.
So what I want us to do is we're gonna rank our 5 favorite games. Sorry, let me rephrase that here. Our number 1 game of the years for the last 5 years. So 2013, 2017.
Oh boy.
So I have this notebook here that I always write down our notes for when we do game of the year stuff, and I keep track. I've had it here since the beginning of the show. It's been always been sitting next to my computer or my laptop, whatever I was using at the time.
Wow.
I think I've gone to like 4 different computers in that time. But I've always had this one. I always kept track. It has all our Game of the Generation stuff on it. It has any notes I've wrote down for shows. All of our Game of the Year stuff is here. So I'm going to go through our list here, and we will rank in order, 5 through 1, what we think. Basically, it'll be the best show, or the best game, the best game of the last 5 years for us. So in 2013, I said Last of Us. You said Pokemon X and Y.
Okay.
2014, I said South Park: Stick of Truth. You said Mario Kart 8.
Okay.
2015, MGS 5, and you said Super Mario. I said Metal Gear Solid 5. You said Super Mario Maker. 2016, I said Last Guardian. 2016, you said Uncharted 4. And then last year, 2017, I said Horizon Zero Dawn, and you said Mario Odyssey. So, you are Pokemon X and Y, Mario Kart 8, Super Mario Maker, Uncharted 4, Mario Odyssey. I am Last of Us, South Park: Stick of Truth, Metal Gear Solid 5, Last Guardian, Horizon Zero Dawn. So, if you want a couple seconds, I will attempt to rank mine right now.
All right, go ahead and rank yours first then.
So I literally, I just kind of, I couldn't remember all of them, so I was like literally writing them down just a moment ago. So I'm basically going to be ranking this off the fly as well. Number 5, ooh boy, South Park: Stick of Truth probably number 5 for me. Oh God, this is a bad idea, Gables. I already hate this.
That's why I made you go first.
Yeah. Oh boy. So. Ooh. All right, number 4. So 5 is South Park: Stick of Truth. 4 is Horizon Zero Dawn. 3 go. Number 3. Oh boy, this is stupid. This is really bad. Last Guardian, I guess. I hate myself for that. Number 2. Metal Gear Solid 5. Number 1, Last of Us.
Damn, dude.
Okay, that might be the worst idea I've ever had in my entire life.
All right.
Gables, do you want me to go through yours real quick, or you got them?
Let's see. Read through mine one more time.
All right, Pokemon X and Y.
Mm-hmm.
Mario Kart 8.
Yep.
Super Mario Maker.
Mm-hmm.
Uncharted 4. Super Mario Odyssey.
All right. I know for the 5th one is going to be Pokemon X and Y. I mean, having recently played through that, I know for a fact that, I think I may have jumped the gun a little bit when I ranked that as my number 1 of that year. But after that, it would be Super Mario Maker. Super Mario Maker was a fun game. But it definitely ranks above X and Y now, retrospectively, thinking about it. Then Mario Kart 8, number 3. Damn, that game is so fantastic, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic, and I played it through again on the Switch. Number 2 would have to be Uncharted 4. Uncharted 4 definitely is a great game. It was my game of the year back at around 2016, and for good reason, too. Even with a tough year in competing with Doom.
Last Guardian.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah, the Last Guardian for you, but I never had a chance to play that.
You son of a bitch, Gables. I want to point out that my Last Guardian statue was just staring at me right now. Trico is so pissed at me for putting it number 3. I'm going to sleep with one eye open tonight.
But I still heavily think that Uncharted 4 was the best game of that year. Mm. But for number 1, obviously, is Super Mario Odyssey. And the reason why I say that is because, bar none, I feel it's the best 3D Mario game that has come out in the past couple decades.
Super Mario 3D World.
Even better than the Super Mario 3D World, I believe. But in terms of the overall quality of the game, I had a hell of a time. I had a ball playing through Odyssey, more so than I did Uncharted 4. Uncharted 4, I loved playing through it. It's the last person that you face in that final battle on that fucking boat, man. That kind of broke me a little bit because it was just a repetitive, okay, let's do this, do that, let's do a little quick time stuff here and there. But other than that, the game experience was fantastic.
Yeah, Uncharted's pretty terrible at last bosses.
Yeah, that's true traditionally. I mean, you had the whole Gabriel Roman stuff. Not Gabriel Roman. You had the whole fucking... Oh, God, it was Eddie Raja with some stuff. Oh, it was that dude that was the assistant to Gabriel Roman in the first game.
Yeah.
Then you had, Then you had that freaking Russian guy for the last final boss for Uncharted 2 with that fucking tree that you had to try to avoid him and stuff.
Oh, that sucked.
And then you had the anticlimactic thing with Barlow in Uncharted 3. And then Uncharted 4... Uncharted 4 at least was better than 1, 2, and 3 when it comes to the final portion. But it
surprisingly, Lost Legacy is actually the best final boss fight.
I think so, honestly. Oh, maybe even better than say, I'm not too sure. Maybe Golden Abyss. Golden Abyss. I didn't play Golden Abyss. I played it through on Vita. It was definitely a good Uncharted game. It's better than the original.
I'm still hoping they port it one day.
Well, they ported other Vita classics like Gravity Rush and Tearaway and stuff, so possibly Golden Abyss.
Yeah. Hopefully, maybe. It'd be fun to check out. Go on, though. I'm sorry.
But yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer to me. It's kind of funny how, I have, 4 Nintendo games, at the number 1 spot for specific years, and then, 2016 is the anomaly.
Yeah.
Fucking Uncharted 4. While you have all of them are fucking PlayStation games.
Well, holy shit, 3 are PlayStation exclusives. Last of Us, Last Guardian, Horizon.
Yeah.
South Park was the last generation game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You played that there on the 360 then.
Yep, that was before it got ported. That was the last... That game came out 6 months after the new consoles, and then MGS5 was on everything. So
yeah, that's true too. So yeah, X and Y for 5, Super Mario Maker for 4, Mario Kart 8 at 3, Uncharted 4 at 2, and number 1 out of the past 5 years is Super Mario Odyssey.
I hate my list. I'm never happy with my list though. I can't believe MGS5 was number 2. That's crazy. Wow. It's going to be interesting when we do our oh man, I was just thinking game of the generation.
Dude, you know what? That that could be coming up sooner as we think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they said something about the end of the PlayStation's getting to the last part of its life cycle, and they were talking about March 2021. I don't know. I didn't put it in the show notes because it was just kind of like, what do we say?
Yeah.
Because it's been talked. We just talked about it like a month ago when there was rumors of 2020.
The only thing really I could say about that in and of itself is last generation, like I said before, and I'm going to use this term again, it was an anomaly because of the ongoing recession. And that's why the gaming generation stretched for as long as it did with the Wii, the PS3, and the 360. Now we're in a traditional sort of console year, like console cycle, where it feels like 6-year cycle. PS4, Xbox One. We're getting towards that limit. Now, the next generation beyond that, we know there's going to be consoles. It's not going to be like what people thought at the beginning of this one, where it's going to be like streaming services doing this and doing that and stuff, and that's it.
Yeah.
But,
my whole point, it will be for this. I mean, what's the selling point other than graphics for the next generation?
Exactly.
But I mean, the 2021 thing, the March 2021 is what they said in like a financial report or something. But people were saying, oh, that means the new console won't come out until 2020 at the earliest. But to me, that means that's when they're going to stop. Like the PS3, they kept making PS3s for like nearly 3 or 4 years. Like
Yes,
they just stopped making them like 2 years ago. So to me, that can say, oh well, the PS5 can come out in 2019, but we're going to support the PS4 until 2021. It's a super vague statement that it's disappointing to hear for me because I still feel that like in the last year was like when we really like the great games started hitting. And there was some good ones before. There was really great games before, like Doom, Uncharted 4, things like that, MGS5. But it wasn't really until 2016 that those like we kind of went away from the 360 and PS3. So we're really only in like year 3 of true this generation games. So I don't know. I mean, obviously,
well, that's just the thing, Tyler. It's kind of happened a bit later than it did in the previous generation, where it's like 2007 was more or less marked as the beginning of, oh, hey, here's a lot of big name games that are fantastic, genre dividing things, like doing that. And that was like a couple of years, after like the Xbox 360's release, and like a year after the PS3's release,
and the Wii,
and the Wii as well. But at the same point, it's a good point where it's like last year, this basically had a lot of good genre-defining games released all at once on the PS4, in Xbox One, and Switch as well. But predominantly, if we're talking about the PS4's case, you had Uncharted 4, and you had like a good first-party game like Uncharted 4 in 2016. You had Doom in the same year and stuff. That's a good third-party. But last year, you had like Horizon Zero Dawn. You had Nier Automata. You had Persona 5. I mean, just a little cusp of what initially was a fantastic year for gaming in and of itself.
Yeah. I think we're still feeling it this year, and that's kind of how, I mean...
It's a gaming hangover, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, we've had God of War, we've had some great games. Detroit just came out. Red Dead Redemption still come out, but I feel like this year isn't going to be as packed as years past have been. I think this is still going to be a pretty good year. But I thought 2016 and 17 were just really... I mean, 2016 to me, at that time, was like, that's an all-time great year. There was like 6-7 games that are like, to me, like next level games, like games we would talk about next generation. Like, remember these great games?
Yep.
And 2017 just went out and blew it out of the water. So, where I feel like the 10th best game of 2017 might have been better than majority of the games that came out in 2016 for me. But yeah, I don't know. But we're going along, so we're going to jump into some of the topics here. Now, actually, before we get into the topics, did you download the Mario Pro Tennis demo?
Yep.
That's some bullshit, right?
Yeah. I don't know why in the hell that we cannot connect to the fucking servers with that stuff.
So we talked about last week about the demo coming out, and the way they worded it sounded like the demo's coming out May 24th, and there's an offline mode, but the you can't play online until June 1st. So it made it sound like you could play offline in that week before, and then
Yeah.
the online competitive is only available during the next weekend. But kind of find out that none of it is available until next weekend. So offline and online is all going to be available. So why the hell would you release a demo a week beforehand, over
A
a week
very good
beforehand,
question.
and then you can't even play it? So it seemed like I thought it was just me, and then I went
No.
online and I looked, and everybody was like, "Oh, sweet, the Mario Pro Tennis demo, or Mario Tennis Pro, whatever that's called, is out now. I can't wait to go home and play it." And then I was just like scrolling through, and I'm just like, at like the excitement of it coming out, and then like the realization of people finding out you can't actually play it. Um,
It does not make
Super
sense.
weird. Yeah, no, it's just really weird. Usually when a demo comes out, I mean, I know like Splatoon and like Arms and all of them, they would like release the demo like a day earlier, so a couple days early. But they like
Right.
say, hey, this is an online only thing. This is the off. The way they worded the whole thing was just super weird. So it
What's
confused a lot
also
of people.
super weird about it is even if you try to face off against CPU characters, you cannot do so because it's
Yeah.
got to be connected to the freaking server. Come
Yeah.
on, that's an offline feature.
I'm hoping they fix that, but I don't know. But yeah, I thought that was just really weird. Justin and I were texting back and forth about it and like trying to figure it out. And I went online and finally, figured. I'm like, maybe it's just a server. Maybe it's just the server's like it was overloaded and you can't get a game playing. And then come find out, no, just nobody can play it.
Yep.
But speaking of Nintendo, couple things. It's been very Nintendo heavy with rumors and news and leaks and everything like that. But
Yeah.
couple Nintendo topics this week. Fairly light week. I'm wondering if it's just because of the holiday, Memorial Day weekend, so not a lot of news going on. Everybody's kind of on vacation. But this would be, I consider, like any other time of the year, a really good, a pretty good to really good week of news.
Yes.
But this time of year, a fairly light week, news week, I guess. I said I used the word week too many times in that sentence. But moving on. Sorry. So go through a couple Nintendo news items real quick. First up, Nintendo has officially applied for a trademark for N64, Nintendo 64. And the trademark covers as a video game program controller for game machine, joystick for a video game machine, TV game machine, and more. Nintendo applied for so people were freaking out. Oh, it's the N64 mini is coming out. It's happening. The N64 Classic, whatever you want to call it. But actually, Nintendo applied for a trademark for the Game Boy last year, and we haven't heard it about this time last year, and we haven't heard anything about it since. So it doesn't necessarily mean that's the case. We're going to see a classic, but it's kind of weird timing, especially with just announcing that the NES Classic and SNES Classic are coming back. Speaking of, I just bought another European SNES Classic. Gables watched me unbox it. Then I
Yes, I
pre-ordered. I bought the European one because of the cool colored controllers. And then I pre-ordered a NES Classic from the UK. So I'm just gonna go straight UK for all my NES or Nintendo Classic machines. But yeah. So I mean, do you feel like this is inevitable that we're gonna see the N64 Classic?
Well, nothing's really set in stone. What it sounds like to me at the moment in time, you are correct when Nintendo did file trademarks for the Game Boy late last year, actually. Actually, it was around this time last year, to be more exact. But I believe they did that in order to just renew the trademark on it, considering that they hadn't used the Game Boy trademarking license for quite a while. Plus,
Yeah.
if you don't use them for a finite number of years, it will expire and it becomes public domain.
Well, those are
So-
patents. These are like a trademark thing. I don't understand the difference.
trademarking. My misunderstandings right there. But
I don't understand it either, so don't worry.
well, my errors aside, the N64 thing, it definitely feels different in terms of this standard because of the specific wordings, where like plug and play, like plug and TV sort of like aspect in the trademarks and stuff. This could potentially be an N64 mini, as it were. At the same time, I believe that it's possible then that could be the case for it, considering the reintroductions of the NES and the SNES classics to the States to being restocked, and like the whole demand for it was highly successful because, well, It's Nintendo, right? Their back catalog of games, no matter what service, no matter what things it's going to be on, people are going to buy them in droves, and it's going to sell out in droves because of the because of the name alone and the quality of games associated with it. So yes, I do believe that this is a prelude to an N64 Mini, but I'm not sure we will hear about it anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think this is I think the Game Boy was done, the Game Boy trademark, and this were done. Not like I said, set in stone. This isn't guaranteed, but I feel like more than likely this is going to happen. I really doubt it's going to happen this year. Especially, I think I could definitely I see the N64 Classic happening. I see a very good chance of it happening, maybe being announced late this year or early next year. But as far as this year goes, I don't think so. With them just announcing that NES Classic and SNES Classic are coming back in late June, June 29th, and they're going to be on sale for the rest of the year. So I think they don't want to cannibalize themselves. More like people that are really upset about getting those old ones now have another chance of getting them again. And then also, hey, here's a brand new thing. So I feel like it would make the most sense to just wait another year, kind of get the last bit of sales out of these first two, and then next year jump into the N64 Classic. But
right.
If I remember about this time last year when we did our own, like, if they made an N64 Classic, what games should be on it. I kind of go back and listen to it now and find out. I can't remember all the games we put on there, but
it sounds vaguely familiar. I think we did do that last year.
Yeah, I remember. I think we did like 15 games.
Yes.
So, yeah, I agree. I with everything you just said, though. Yeah. So but next year, I think it's highly likely it's gonna happen. But also, the other Nintendo topic really this week is so Resident Evil 7 is coming to the Switch, in Japan only, via the cloud. So is released, like I said, exclusively on the Japanese eShop. It includes all of the DLC, all 4 DLC packs. Like I said, only available on the cloud, and kind of translating over to American dollars, it's like $18 for 180 days, so 6 months.
Right.
So I guess I didn't know this, but there was another, like, Phantasy Star Online is available via the cloud only, which is that Sega or Capcom? That's Sega, right?
That's Sega.
Yeah.
Yes,
so this
Sega.
is a Capcom game. Resident Evil 7 is. But so apparently they've been doing this for a while now with the cloud streaming. But so first question, do you see this happening? You think this come to the U.S., or is this maybe like a Japanese only thing? Because Sega and Capcom, Japanese companies, the servers are there, so it works better. It'd be a little more difficult, more costly here in America. But do you see this could be possibly a game changer for the Switch if this takes off outside Japan?
Well, let's see. First question I want to answer at the moment here is regards to the whole aspect of Resident Evil 7 being available in the cloud. I do believe that there's a possibility that it will release inside the US, but it's kind of interesting that this is actually the first game of its type on the Switch available via the cloud, like cloud streaming pretty much. Yep. You download it for a finette fee, and then you can play it for basically almost sort of similar in scope to how Gaikai is for like PlayStation 4 with the whole PlayStation Now stuff, where it's a set time. Like, you basically can run it for how long as you want, and then you pay like $20, do this and do that. That's a feature that we did not even know was possible on the Switch. Now, do I think that we will possibly see something like that in the US? Yes. Will it be Resident Evil 7? I have no idea. But this definitely sounds like something we're going to hear more at E3. Potentially, for that the Nintendo's video presentation that they have going on.
Mm-hmm.
But do I think it's going to be a game changer if this ends up being the case? Well, potentially, because you have bigger games that may not fit the parameters of, say, the downloading size, but like on the Switch, could be... it could be a realm where you can actually just stream it and stuff and do this and do that, but... even so, it's like you would still have to download some bits, I would think, in order to to play the game in and of itself. But it's kind of hard to just try to like think of it right now. I'm not too sure if it can be a game changer, but it would definitely be a good idea to at least have some games available on the cloud in order to rent. You know.
Yeah.
So it's more or less a wait and see approach, really, if that ends up being the case. So that's pretty much what I think about it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you where this could be big for them where this would be easier, probably cheaper way to port some of the bigger games that are on, like third-party games that are on the PS4 and Xbox.
Yes.
Now we don't have to, people don't have to like downgrade them like Ubisoft and Bethesda have been doing them, and working around like Skyrim being put on there, Stick of Truth, Wolfenstein 2, Doom. They don't have to do, hire a whole nother team from probably a different company or whatever to make this thing fit and work on there. Now they can just, hey, we can stream it via the cloud. Obviously that's not cheap, and that's not, maybe there's a lot more going into it than I think. Obviously I'm not a game developer or anything. I don't know how games work. But how game making works, or how actually games work. I can't figure it out. I'm terrible at them. But I do think this could be big for them. If EA sees sees this as potentially something big, and that gets them involved. I know they haven't been big supporters of them. Like they had the FIFA last year, but it was kind of a half-ass attempt at getting on the Switch.
Yeah.
They put fee on there, but that was on everything. It's a small digital fee or whatever it's called. But I mean, if this could be a potentially good way to get that third party support back, and fully get third party support back. Not where we're getting ports, or we're getting Doom a year and a half later, or we're getting Wolfenstein 8 months later. We're getting in downgraded versions at that, like Skyrim 9 years later, or what the hell it is, 7 years later. We can start seeing the games at what they really are on the Switch, and more reliably, and we don't want, we can get them at, maybe we can possibly see them at launch. Maybe we could see. Obviously, this won't happen, but like a Red Dead Redemption 2 could potentially be on the Switch. Obviously, the portability aspect of it goes out the window, but if you are someone that plays it docked or wants to play it docked, maybe you only have a Switch or whatever, this is your opportunity to do that. Or if that's your preferred way of playing, you got it right there. But I don't know. I think this, I mean, I don't really see any of that happening. I doubt it's going to happen. But I mean, it's just kind of, the possibilities for that are endless. I think this could be potentially a huge thing for Nintendo. Not just for the Switch, but in the future, where like if this were to take off and be a thing, the next console that Nintendo makes after the Switch, they can have a lot more support out the gate from everybody, not just themselves, and getting some weird ports and whatever. But I don't know. I think it's cool. But moving on to some non-Nintendo topics. Battlefield 5, or Battlefield V rather, was revealed. There's been a lot of rumors lately, but so official, they had a stream out there. I didn't watch it. I don't think a lot of people watched it, but just kind of, I watched the trailer. It's like an hour long, and there's like a 3-minute trailer out of it, a lot of talking. Yeah, so the trailer looked pretty cool, though. It goes back in World War II, like the rumor said. It comes out October 19th, the very week, exactly 1 week after Black Ops 4 does. It will not have a premium pass, and all the post-release content will be free. So the maps will be free. All the side content they do will be free, and there will be no loot boxes, no nothing like that. No like costumes, stuff like that. There's nothing. Basically, you just, from what they're saying, you spend $60, and that's all you spend. Everything else you get out of that, cosmetics, all that stuff, is free. So that's great to hear. Like I said, Battlefield 5 set during World War II. The single player they're going to do the same thing they did with Battlefield 1, which I thought was a really cool way of doing it, where it's just like a bunch of single player stories, like an hour or so long.
Right.
they're calling them war stories is kind of what they're using for it. But they promised that in this they're going to use a lot of characters and areas that you don't really commonly see in World War II, where we've seen, I mean, the storming of Normandy, like every World War II game started with that. We've joked about that forever, but it's true. So hopefully that means we can see a lot more in that. We've seen a lot of European stuff, but we haven't seen anything else really. So it'd be cool to possibly see some more of that. And then there was rumors of them having a battle royale mode, and there was no talk of it at the reveal. But they did announce something called operations mode, and it is well. So I'm gonna read exactly what the article said. So operation mode makes a return to Battlefield 5 as an even bigger grand operations, which will feature an extra round for tight games called Last Stand. During Last Stand rounds, which acts as a sudden death for close matches, players fight until the last man left standing, which determines the winner. So not exactly it's basically like their overtime mode is turned into like a battle royale mode where it's like it just takes all the players. So if you're doing like there's 64 players in their big game they have, and it's a close game or it's a tie at the end, you guys it's 32 v 32. Last team with a player standing wins, which sounds really cool. So kind of the details coming out of it. I think it sounds kind of cool. I'm definitely more interested in this than I am Black Ops 4. Especially the fact that there's a campaign, there's an actual campaign to a single player story, and just like that one aspect alone intrigues me. Everything about it doesn't really, other than the loot boxing going away. I know Anthem, they've already said there's going to be loot boxes in it or cosmetic stuff at least in it. But just going away from the premium passes, I think is interesting because I feel like they didn't really have to all the backlash towards it. They didn't really have to go away from it, but
right,
because it's an additional $50. It's the hardcore game. I think the hardcore fans of the game will still buy it. They still will use it, but it's going away. I'm blown away by this as far as like zero interest in it, and then all the details I read about it. I guess maybe shouldn't say in truth make me want to play the game. But I have a lot more positive outlook on this game than I do coming out of Black Ops 4 reveal. What about you, Gables?
All right, I will go over what I do like about this. One, it does have its own single-player campaign that's modeled after World War II, and from what they make it sound like it's going to be somewhat different than what we would actually go for with like the World War II like actual games itself, like the whole like try to go for the retread upon classics like the Battle of Normandy and this and that. I mean, that's good that they're going into another different directions. I think it would be funny if, say, they went back to carrier pigeons in terms of like certain things.
Yes, that was the best part about Battlefield 1. I completely forgot about that.
The controls of the fucking pigeons in that fucking Battlefield 1 was ridiculous, though.
It was
I
awful.
will admit, but
awful and the best part about the game still somehow.
Also, I kind of wonder if in and of itself or something like that, if there's going to be a moment in this coming E3 at their freaking like their old EA Plays events or something like that, have fucking Snoop Dogg again on their team, like fucking smoking weed while playing Battlefield.
Weed 3 2? No, I'm good.
Weed 3 2. Oh god, I still remember the freaking giant bomb guys and their coverage and stuff. It's like well, look at, it's like he's got a secret weapon. I wonder if it's weed. What if it's weed or something like that? They wrote on the backboard. All of a sudden, they watch as they show a clip of Snoop Dogg or something like that in silhouette with a freaking joint hanging from his mouth while playing on the Xbox One controller. They're all pointing to the blackboard. Weed.
That's Zac Efron is stoned out of his mind.
Dude, that was my favorite moment throughout that entire E3, and it was amazing.
One of the best moments of E3 in a long time.
All right, now that I got some of the positive stuff out of the way, the whole thing about there no being season passes, not any type of loot boxes or something like that. EA literally trying to promise the moon to make sure that this game has sort of like a seamless launch. My question to them would be, what's the catch? I say that not only in regards to their past couple games that they've released, the Battlefront 2, the latest Need for Speed that they released that did require loot boxes, that did require a little transfer stuff. You gotta know that sooner or later there's going to be more content that's going to be charged and that's going to be separately available. for this Battlefield, like Battlefield 5.
Yeah.
Quintessentially, there is going to be more stuff buyable as downloadable content. Come on, this is a major corporation we're talking about. Even if they're not releasing a season pass with a traditional sense, even if they're not charging little individual things for loot boxes, they still will work around some little things where there may be some weapons you can download that's like, maybe, I don't know, not, superficial and shit or something like that. Or they'll come out with an expansion stuff that's going to be something that's going to be similar to how maybe Street Fighter V, where, Street Fighter V was the last game, even though it was from Capcom, that touted, oh, hey, the digital content for this is free. You get certain characters for free, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. And how did that game release? How did that game's reaction come by? It was received poorly. Why? Because a lot of the content was stripped out. A lot of the single player, the arcade mode, the this and that, there was characters missing. And what did Capcom end up doing? They ended up selling season passes for this game, going back against what they initially touted the game as. I see something potentially could be happening with Battlefield 5. Whereas, hey, they're saying that there's not going to be like season passes or any type of like downloadable stuff, and it's going to be all free and this and of itself. What are they taking out in terms of this whole overall experience here? That's what I'm wanting to see beforehand, because I'm not sold with this at all for Battlefield 5 yet. The game definitely looks all right. What EA is promising right now sounds okay, but at the same point, with the last couple games that they've released in the past couple of years, be it Mass Effect Andromeda, whether it be the new Need for Speed, whether it be freaking Battlefront 2, I do not trust their business sense. So we'll just see what happens with that.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, especially that was a big thing coming about last year at E3 when they announced the EA's press conference. They announced Star Wars Battlefront 2 will have no season pass. It's just everything's free, and we're like, oh, that's really cool. Like, that was a big thing. That was a big positive thing coming out of it.
Yep.
And then obviously the loot box thing happened. So the only thing I can think of is really, this could be. I mean, DICE makes Battlefront and Battlefield, I believe, and I mean, this could. I mean, if they came out and they did some stupid business practices, they can destroy probably two of their biggest franchises in the Star Wars and Battlefield market, and also they're probably their most important development team, DICE, in one fell swoop in just a 12-month span. So I mean, I almost wonder if this is like a complete make good counteract on their end, where like, all right, we went way too far. We're gonna go the complete opposite direction, and we're gonna all the stuff that we normally charge you for is free. And there's no loot boxes on top of that. So we're taking out everything that makes these games way more profitable for them long term. Obviously, these are always one of the 2 or 3 highest selling games of the year up until last year with Battlefront 2, but still sold super well. I think it's still like one of the more highest selling games of last month. So, yeah, I mean, that's a good point that you bring up. I mean, like, we can't trust EA yet. I mean, they've have years and years and years of bad business practices. It's and them telling us cool things like this. It's kind of end up being there's a catch, and the catch is way worse. But I was thinking about too though with the premium pass thing going away. It's probably a smart move. I feel like only Call of Duty and like a DICE game can get away with it at this point, because it's something I've talked about for years and years, where it's like there's so many multiplayer games out there nowadays where Call of Duty, I mean, I've talked about several times where like Call of Duty was like the one game all of us had that we can all play. Every time we did a gamer night with friends or talking shit or whatever, it's like, all right, well, what games do you guys have? And it's just like maybe like 3 or 4 of us would have this game, but there's like 6 of us in the party. But everybody has Black Ops or Modern Warfare 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
And those days are long gone. And
yep.
Now you're at the point where it's like you have, seems like every 2 weeks a new big AA or AAA multiplayer game comes out, and on top of that they come and go so fast, and then they have premium passes or season passes on top of that. So then you're segregating the market even more. So it's like, hey, 5 of us everybody in this group has this game, but only 2 of us have bought season pass. Well, shit,
Yep.
well, we can't play the season pass, or we can't play this because only half of us have this content, or one person's gonna be left out. So I think we could be seeing the beginning of the end as far as season passes go for multiplayer shooters or multiplayer, big multiplayer games, like obviously like Far Cry 5 single player games like that could have them still. But yeah, I don't know. I think right now I'm going to try to be hopeful and positive about this. I know it's shocking because typically I'm not. I usually I'm more of a glass half empty kind of guy when it comes to this kind of stuff. But I'm going to try, just based off of everything that's happened to EA in the last 8 months or so, that they're trying to change their ways. Maybe not forever, but at least this year they're going to try and change their ways, and I'm just going to try to be hopeful about it. But moving on to, I think we're going a little long, so this will probably be our last topic, and it's not a super long one, but this happened late last week, just kind of out of nowhere. But Best Buy has, Troy talked me into it last year, a little over a year ago when he was on the show, about the Gamer Club. And it was like $30 a year. I've never really been a Best Buy guy. I was always the Amazon GameStop guy. And then he told me that's $30 for 2 years, and you get 20% off every game, not just pre-orders. And at that point, Amazon started the whole thing with like, if you're a Prime member, you get 20% off every game, including amiibos and accessories and all that. And then it was just like, well, you get all the accessory stuff. Amazon's like, okay, well, now you don't get 20% off the accessories, you just off the games. And then it was like, well, now you only get 20% off if off a game if you buy it within 2 weeks of being released. And then it was like, well, now you only get 20% discount if you pre-order the game. So if you buy the game the day it comes out on Amazon, you don't get the discount. But Best Buy Gamer Club, I loved it because just everything you got 20% off of. So my amiibos, when I bought them on there, they were 20% off. Accessories, every video game I bought was 20% off. And it's a really great deal. $30 a year, even way cheaper than Amazon Prime. Obviously, Amazon Prime has a lot of other cool things. They have the video streaming service, but quarter of the price. And I was all in with the Gamer Club stuff. I even have a Best Buy credit card, and I buy everything with that. All my bills go on that. Everything. Every time I go to the grocery store, I get a percentage back, gets points back, and I always get that 20% off, and then I get a bunch of points. And every couple months or so, I pretty much basically get a free game out of it. So I pretty much went all in about a year and a half ago on Best Buy and their Game Club when it comes to buying video games. And now just out of nowhere, it's gone. And oddly enough, there's like Best Buy hasn't said anything about it. They haven't officially announced it's gone away. The Best Buy support Twitter account said that they're no longer accepting purchases on it. There were some screenshots leaked of people at the employees at the stores released where it's showing them that they're no longer try to get people to buy this anymore. Don't take all the signs down. It's just kind of come and gone. It sounds like if they're going to honor everybody's Gamer Club until it's gone, until your membership ends. Mine ends in late February. I tried to hurry up and buy another 2 years, and I wasn't able to, unfortunately. But yeah, it's come and gone. Really disappointing. I mean, that was a huge ordeal when all this stuff started happening a few years ago with Amazon and Best Buy, and now it's kind of just going away. I don't. Were you subscribed? I don't think you were subscribed to any of these. Were you, Gable?
No, not really. I mean, I don't have a Best Buy anywhere in my general area, so yeah, I kind of missed the boat with that, though. It's incredibly sad, though, because gamers that used that service, especially if they had a local Best Buy close to them, they definitely did take advantage of some good stuff right there.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna still use it because I have the Best Buy card, so I'm kind of I'll still use it to get when I get the points to get the slight to buy gift certificates basically with them. But it's I think now I'm forever I was a GameStop guy. And I think it's probably going to... And I've been oddly more of a digital digital guy. I've bought God of War digitally, Detroit digitally, Far Cry 5 digitally. So I've been going more towards that, and this is kind of The discount stuff with Amazon and that have been huge, and kind of it's a little disappointing to go away from. And that was kind of the big reason to go away from being digital was the discounts. And as long as I can still get the, like I said, the gift certificates, and I guess Amazon Prime still has 20% off for now. I mean, the way they in the last year and a half or so, they keep changing that suddenly. So I wouldn't be surprised if that goes away too in the next few months. But I mean, Amazon's even had weird things going on for like a long time. You couldn't get Nintendo. You couldn't buy Nintendo consoles from them. You still EA for over a year. You couldn't even buy physical copies of EA games from them. You could buy digital copies only, and that was it from Amazon. And now you can actually you can pre-order games, physical copies of like EA games, and buy physical copies of EA games. But like right now, currently with Amazon PlayStation, you can't even pre-order PlayStation exclusive games on Amazon. You can buy them the day of they come out, and you can pre-order the digital copies, but you don't get the discount on those. So even that's really going away to some sense, where it's like the video game companies are pushing back on these discount things. So more and more we're going towards. It seems like all the positives of going physical are dwindling away. As long as GameStop's still around, I think I'll be primarily physical, as long as I can still trade in games. But when GameStop inevitably goes away or changes who they are, I think any interest in me being a physical copy gamer will go away as well. But I think that's going to wrap up everything, Gables. Yep. We went a little long this week. Sorry about that. But I do want to thank you guys for listening. I was your host. I was Tyler. For everything else real quick. Sorry. Facebook. We're on there. Page and group, Drunk Dash Nerds. Check us out on there. Like and join us. On Twitter, @DrunkNerdsPod. YouTube, Drunk Nerds Podcast. Subscribe and like us on there. And then Twitch. We are there as well, Drunk Nerds Podcast. Follow us on there? Yeah, follow us on there. Sorry. And then, share us on there. Share us for everywhere, please. And also iTunes. Sorry. Give us a 5-star review. Subscribe, please. Leave a nice little comment. Really appreciate it. The more likes, subscribes, follows, retweets, all those good things that you guys do, the more likely it is people will see us, which is good for us. That's just a nice little morale boost. Sorry. Very tired now. But once again, thank you guys for listening. I was Tyler.
And I have been Colonel Gables. So until next week, everyone, I hope you have yourself a good week. Definitely go through, get your exercise, eat your vitamins, do whatever the hell you want to do. And please enjoy another heart-filled episode of the Drunk Dash Nerds podcast.
Yes. Hey, Gables.
Yeah.
Too sweet.
Too sweet.
And last but not least, rest in peace, Total Biscuit.
Rest in peace, Total Biscuit.
Bye, guys.
See you.